Hi, I'm Stephanie, and welcome to another episode of Tune In Tuesday. So, back in March, we decided to read a memoir or biography, and in this episode, we're going to share with you some of the books that staff at the library read.
Hi, I'm Jen Milligan, and for Memoirs in March, I read My Remarkable Journey, a memoir of Katherine Johnson, an African American mathematician at NASA. You may remember her from the movie Hidden Figures. This was a wonderful story about the power of family, community, and education during a tumultuous time in our country. I was fortunate enough to get a pre-review copy of this book, so look for it on our shelf starting on May 25th.
Hi, I'm Lori, and I'm the teen librarian at Manlius Library. And the memoir I chose to read for Memoir March is Stories I Only Tell My Friends by Rob Lowe. And I really wanted to listen to it, so I found it available in audiobook, and it's narrated by Rob Lowe, which is absolutely delicious. Unlike a lot of superstars and mega performers who narrate their own books, he never really comes across as arrogant or superficial. It's just really, really honest. And the main reason I wanted to read it is because I grew up as a teenager in the 80s watching Rob's movies, and then as I became an adult, I watched all of his shows. And he talks about all of it. He talks about growing up as a child actor and the devastation of drugs and alcohol in the 80s, and how he just really wanted to get clean, and then he clean and sober, and then he revived his career as an adult, which is really unusual. It is honest and it's funny, and like I said, he narrates the audiobook. I highly recommend listening to it. But if you do read the book, there's a centerfold, not a centerfold, there's a centerpiece of pictures that is great. So that's Stories I Only Tell My Friends by Rob Lowe. Highly recommended. It's really wonderful and very relatable. And one of the most impressive things about it is he wrote the entire thing himself. There was no ghostwriter, there was no author who helped him. He wrote the book himself. Now, just a quick one. If you're looking for something super funny to read, I recommend anything by Jenny Lawson. Her first two books were Let's Pretend This Never Happened, which is one of the funniest books I've ever read in my entire life. And this one is Furiously Happy, a funny book about horrible things. She tells about her struggles with mental health and growing up in a family of taxidermists and living in Texas as someone a little different than the rest of her family and the rest of the world. Furiously Happy. And she has a brand new one coming out on Tuesday. Okay, thanks.
Hi there. I'm Bill, and I'm the Public Services Librarian at Manlius Library. A memoir that I recently enjoyed was While the Earth Sleeps, We Travel by Ahmed Bader. This book is a collection of poems, artwork, and other creative contributions by dozens of young refugees, and it really focuses on the power of storytelling and the concept of home. You'll cross a full spectrum of emotions as you work your way through this collection. It's incredibly raw. There is a lot of loss and grief throughout, but the beauty and talent of the young artists really shines throughout the work. It's actually funny in parts. Ahmed had a really darkly humorous thank you letter from the bomb that had visited his home in Baghdad. Many of the contributors to this work also have ties to Syracuse and Syracuse University too. And we do have several copies, at least 5 copies of While the Earth Sleeps We Travel in our collection at the library. So I highly recommend that you check it out.
Hi, I'm Timmy. I'm here today to talk to you about a biography called She Come By It Natural, Dolly Parton and the Women Who Lived Her Songs by Sarah Smarsh. Sarah Smarsh is a journalist. She wrote a book called Heartland, and it was also a National Book Award finalist. So she's used to writing about poverty because Heartland was about the poor, the working poor in the middle of the country. And so Sarah wrote this book about Dolly Parton. It's almost a cultural study, and it's done in a series of essays, and the essays are tied to Dolly's music. And it's quite interesting because the music, it was a way of poor women, country singers, to tell about their feelings when feelings weren't discussed. And you will find, reading this book, how interesting Dolly is. As Dolly, in her own words, would say, she was used to people considering her the punchline to a boob joke, and people were always misjudging her by her appearance. And so she embraced her appearance so that people, she would eliminate that, take that off the table, and she would surprise people. It would be to your disadvantage to misjudge her. And she's got a lot of grit, and she's got a lot of sass, and she has a lot of graciousness. And underneath all this, she was an incredible businesswoman. So each of the essays has some different music that was going on in her life, out of how she's overcome the poverty, just the discrimination. She's a true fighter. She knew when to cut her losses, when to push ahead. And I'll just leave you with a little tidbit out of the book that Elvis Presley wanted to record one of her songs that she wrote. And he was so sure. They got ready to go into the recording studio, and she wanted her check. And he was so surprised. I'm Elvis Presley. I don't need to pay you. You should be grateful that I'm recording your song. And she walked away from the deal. She was not going to let him record her song without paying her. And that's just like one small little anecdote out of this. We all know Dolly's in the news a lot, and some people are very surprised, like, where did she come from? She's donated so much to books for all children, to vaccination research, to people who lost their homes in the fires of Tennessee. But she's built an incredible, wealthy empire, using her money for so many great works. Doesn't want the notoriety. She doesn't want the attention for it. But she's got a lot of sass, a lot of grit, and you'll really enjoy it. I hope you get a chance to read this book. Thank you.
Hi. The book I read for Memoir March was Happiness Becomes You, a guide to Changing Your Life by singer-songwriter Tina Turner. You might already be familiar with some of the details about her early life and very difficult first marriage. This memoir is a little different from what you might expect. She does discuss some of the challenges she faced throughout her life. However, this book is really about how she embraced Buddhism and found her own inner strength to move forward and rebuild her hugely successful career. She discusses in detail her own personal spiritual journey and growth. It is an excellent short read, filled with wisdom and guidance for living. Happiness Becomes You is truly a worthwhile read, even if you're not a fan of Tina Turner. It will give you an abundance of hope and happiness for the future. And I know we already have a copy of this available at the library, so give us a call and check it out. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to leave us a comment and tell us about a memoir that you've recently read, or let us know what you thought of the books that we've shared today. Bye!